Hi, I'm LaVonne Idlette, and I am a securities attorney who helps people with complex estates.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, this is the first time that I've interviewed because I've represented track athletes before, but I've never had one that was an attorney, and I never had one that was qualified to speak on finances yet. And you know what? A lot of these podcasts out here don't have somebody this qualified who can legally speak on these things. That means they've gone through the whole education and not just regurgitating something that they heard somewhere else or that they made up. So, doctor, we got to put that on there, right? When you get the JD. LaVonne, welcome to Diversified Game. Thank you for coming on. And she is not just an Olympian, but she represented a whole nother country. We're gonna get into all of that. How are you doing today?
I am phenomenal. How
How
about
about
yourself?
yourself? Blessed by the best always. You know, I wanna get into that Olympian thing because I always tell my kids, you guys can go be awesome in any country that we have residency or citizenship. What made you run? I just want to know that. It's on the top of my. It's just why did you decide to run for another country and not America?
Yeah, so if you understood the way that teams are selected and stuff like that, it's mostly based around who's best on the day, which is fine. But when you run for a smaller country and you get to grow as an athlete, your team is more like a family. I was on the team with the same people for 10 years. So um, they reached out to me knowing that I was a dual citizen and I was pretty young at the time, not even like professional caliber. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested in running a relay and doing some things. And it grew from there. And I built relationships with everybody in the country, including the president. So it's something that is much harder to do when there is a huge team and lots of options for every event and every sport.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
With the dual citizenship, I talk about dual citizenship and residency all the time here. It's something I like to collect. Can you talk about, did you get that as a child or did you get that later through descent?
So I got it as a child. My mom is from there, although she grew up in Spain and America for the most part. She came to America when she was in the eighth grade. So, um, but I've always felt the connection to the culture and I love it over there. Like there's a direct flight from Fort Lauderdale every day. So I used to go way more than I do now that I have a baby.
Got you. Oh, hold on. We didn't let people know what country. Let's put some respect on the country. I'm gonna let you do it. Drum roll.
Country is Dominican Republic.
A- And with the DR, I can't wait to get to the DR, but I have to go to Haiti first. It's kind of like a rule for me. I gotta go to Haiti. Their residency is $34. I know there's a lot of guys in the DR right now, but from America, but they're there, I think, for some of the wrong reasons. Um, can you talk about, being from like kind of both cultures, do you speak fluent Spanish? Because there's a lot of people out there who want to reconnect to where, we're all a bunch of immigrants here. Even if you were born here, we're all just coming from some other place. How is it like, do you speak fluent Spanish? And I'll stop there.
I'd say I speak fluent bad Spanish. The kind that you could get by with, but I just never felt that much confidence speaking, but I understand it 100%. So generally, if I know you speak English, I'm leaning back on English. I'm gonna listen to you speak to me in Spanish. I'm gonna respond in English. But if I have to go in my bag, I'm good.
Okay, okay. And going in your bag, I mean, you have accomplished a lot. I know your dad is has inspired a lot of what you do. I don't know if you would consider yourself a daddy's girl or how that came, but like when listening to other interviews that you've done, to say, man, she references her dad, which you know, kind of kind of is like a rare thing now where you even have men online talking about, well, my dad was there, but he was an asshole. And it's like, huh? Like, honor your mother and father. Can you talk about the importance of having a good relationship with your father and how that's impacted you in your professional and personal life?
Yeah, so I am blessed to have had two fathers my whole life. My mother is married to my stepfather who has been with me since I was 1 years old, and my father. And they both are so important to me. I speak to both of them daily. But I own a business and do a lot of business with my father, who happens to be your neighbor actually in out here in South Florida. And I think that it's just important that like we can get a lot of wisdom from the things that they've been through already. And even if it's not one for one exacts, if you learn how to glean information, you can like use something that they've taught you over the years in situations that will arise in your life.
Hey, amen, amen. With the family dynamics, who really pushed you? Because you didn't just go to an HBCU, you went to two. I mean, she went to the real HU, y'all, and she went to FAMU to get her Juris Doctorate. And then you went over to Nova Scotia to get even more education. But who pushed the HBCU lifestyle on you?
No one. Actually, no one wanted me to go there. The way I got to HU was because my high school coach and my college coach are married. And uh when I was going through the process of being recruited out of high school, he just really my college coach, shout out to Mo P, he spent the time to like get to know me and what I was really interested in doing in college, after college, that sort of thing. He built rapport with me and fed into the fact that I could be a great athlete. At the time, I was a heptathlete. So in high school, I was recruited well because I did a lot of events, but not because I won. So, I got a lot of points for getting third in several events or second, fourth, that sort of thing. I got a lot of points. So I'm recruited because I'm always on the track. Someone could always see me, but wasn't great at anything. And so he was the person who was like, you're going to be great at hurdles and, just stay the course. And, so that's how I got there. And FAMU Law School was literally happenstance, right? So I did not go to Nova Scotia. I went to Nova Southeastern University to the Huizenga School of Business, which is in South Florida.
I'm sorry. I'm dyslexic, so I'm taking no. I always call that school Nova Scotia, and shout out to Nova Scotia. I'm gonna say that maybe throughout the whole interview, so just bear with me.
That's hilarious. But I was moving to train in Claremont, Florida, which is outside of Orlando, and I applied to both the University of Florida and Florida A&M because they both were 30 minutes from my house. I was training for the Olympics at that time. And so after my 1L year, I went to the Olympics, but I literally chose the school based on proximity. So FAMU's law school is actually downtown Orlando and fly right next to the Magic's arena. So I had a great time out there.
And can you tell the people because HBCU lifestyle is like no other. I've done both, and I didn't first go to HBCU, and both PWIs can teach you something. But the relationships that I have with my folks who still went to Grambling, like I can name more than 10 people that I still have contact with that we still are connected for, the better, the best, and whatever's beyond. Talk about your experience.
Yeah, so from moving day, which is man, I tell kids on a normal basis, if you want to change your perspective on the Black community, go to a HBCU move-in day because you'll see families moving people in. There's going to be the gamut of very nice cars and all of the things that society tries to tell you doesn't exist in abundance anyways. So, that was my first time seeing it. And because I'm always thinking like we're like the Cosbys, you know what I'm saying? Pre-trial. But but my family always felt like sort of an anomaly in a community, right? But then you move into a beautiful sight. Me and my teammates, me and the girls who stayed in Virginia Cleveland Hall, all became fast friends in this first sort of week. Mind you, we do have curfew for freshmen, so we built a struggle bond a little bit. So we're always together, building, having a good time, doing hair, it was just an amazing way to build a relationship. And me and all of my teammates still hang out, talk on the phone in a group chat, been to everybody's wedding, baby shower, all of the things. Still fast friends. It's been 20 years.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you will not get that when you go to, even people who've gone to Harvard say, look, if it's for business, I stay in contact. But people don't have those relationships at a lot of, non-HBCUs. So with that, we're going to get into the finance, y'all. This part might just be for the Millionaire X platform. I might throw it all together, but the Millionaire X.ai platform, helping you guys get out of debt, save and invest. You are qualified. I want you to name all of your certifications and things that allow you to actually legally tell people you can do this with your money. And you're a lawyer, so I know you're not giving no bad game because that people are all, I represent lawyers sometimes, and people are all, I'm just shocked how they will call on you guys on a second if they feel like anything is done wrong. They will tell the bar, you did this, you did that. Even for your advertisement, because I never knew until representing lawyers, you guys had to pay, at least in Texas, for every advertisement. We had to get that approved. And it's like, gosh, this can get pricey. But talk about, finance. How did you get into it? What are your certifications? So this ain't the Burn Your Leisure podcast, where we just let anybody just talk and say, do Airbnb and churro plays and, make money in your sleep and retire your kids. So give us the game on your financial journey.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At CPRfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Kellen Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at CPRfirm.com.
Okay. So my undergraduate degree is in finance, and I was very much focused on, at the time, I thought that I wanted to be a hedge fund manager. Funny story, I went there to be a doctor. So if you don't know what you want to be, if you're a child watching this, it's fine. You can pivot, you can change, it's fine. So I would so anyways, I was very focused on wanting to be a hedge fund manager. So I leaned into FINRA rules and all of that really early. Then I went and got an MBA to learn more about the functioning and management of a fund and or business. And then law school, my 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 focus originally, because my dad thinks he's the brain and that I'm Pinky, was land use, because he is a developer. And he's like, oh, that's how we add all the value. Land use, real estate finance. We own a mortgage company together, and I've been a mortgage professional since 2007. And bankruptcy. So bankruptcy, because that's where you get all the good cheap assets. So just because something was bad for another person doesn't mean it's going to be a bad asset to buy, especially if you're getting it at a discount. So from there, I started really more focusing on like commercial real estate and helping professional athletes who were like friends of mine get passive income from buying triple net lease retail spaces. So using their cash to buy the building that like you don't have to do very much, very little management, and you get cash flow and it grows in value. So I love that. And then I had a mentor who was a broker dealer take me to a conference, and then he's like, I get in this conference, the conference, shout out to ADISA, which is the Alternative Direct Investment Society of America. And when I got there, I'm in a room of 1,200 people who are all like, I don't do deals smaller than $50 million. And I'm kind of like, where am I, bro? So, and then it made me go down a rabbit hole to say, okay, I have to figure out securities. And so I started going and doing a bunch of continuing education on the SEC, on FINRA, on investor and registered investment advisory firms. And I opted out of all of those things, luckily, because I am able to do most of the things with our own money. So I do run our family office. And so I decided not to be in the advice business and be in the deal business. So we do all of our own deals. And so because of that, I've seen thousands of deals and most of them are not so good. But everybody has a hope and a dream. So I give more like on the legal side advice on how to make the risk lower in the things that you want to invest in. And on the other side of it, I help do due diligence on real estate and private equity offerings.
Okay. And we're going to have the links in the description. I know most of you are listeners, but go over to the YouTube so you can put a, voice with a face and, so when you see her, in real life, you can say, hey, I know you. But, people, especially our community, I think in the last maybe 5 years, I've heard more and more people talk about, oh, I want to have a family office. I want to have a family office. And as you know, it's people, who are managing so much money. How does somebody who might not have 50 million, they're not a blue blood, they don't come from that, get into managing that amount of money, especially at a young age? I know Black don't crack, but 85, you still young, you haven't even had, well, I won't talk about things after 40 you have to have medically, but how do you get that type of trust and get those type of connections?
So, okay, I don't want to confuse the two topics. So there's a single family office, which is what I run, which is just our family's money. And we have everybody who works with us is like internal. Then you have a multi-family office, which you don't have to have, like you'd be offering services shared to multiple families and being able to service them in different areas, whether that is wealth building, strategy, legal, blah, blah, blah. So the way that you get access to people who have that type of capital is in being in spaces where they casually hang out so that you can build a relationship, because everybody does everything on relationship. Almost everybody has credentials. Almost everybody, well, okay, not everybody, but let's just say for the sake of people who are reaching out to them to provide those services, it's a commodity business. There's basically no difference between Goldman, UBS, JP Morgan, like they're all the same. So the way that you get them to become clients of yours or your small RIA shop that wants to be a multifamily office, it's literally being in spaces where you can build casual relationships with people and then show them your aptitude and your heart, because your heart is more important than your ability to get into good deals. Because at the end of the day, the people who end up on American Greed um, just don't lead with their heart. The things that they're doing is regular. Like they could have all just done the thing and like made enough money. Like, but they decided instead of using the heart and the care for the family whose money you're managing, to take it and live their life with it.
Okay. Eh, but family offices, I mean, if you don't have 30 million, 50 million or more, people say, can you really have a family office? Is there a legal amount? Because there's people, and this is why I'm saying this, because I won't call anyone out, but how people say, oh, I'm an investor, and legally they're not a qualified investor, they're not a sophisticated investor, but they say because they bought something, which is great, but your net worth isn't there. And so I can see in the future, especially when Brother Polite come out of prison, and then I got this family office, and he might be managing 10,000, 100,000. Can anybody just say that they have a family office, or do you have to have a threshold and some other things that go with that?
So a family office is a term of art. It's defined by the IRS as having a $10 million liquid net worth. But in general, I would say that if you are a family who has some capitals and you make good money and that kind of stuff, you can operate like a family office. You just won't have an internal staff. You're going to go out and you're going to get vendors to do the things for you, but you want to go to a better version of it, because not all CPAs understand how wealthy people make money. Not all CPAs are the same. And so you need to go a little bit more bespoke when you make more money, and you need to have more of an organizational control as you're growing. But yeah, family office really has a definition that I feel like everybody ignores.
Hello everyone! Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
Okay. And definitions, not to go political, are changing of everywhere you go, and I just call people whatever they say to call them. And if you want to be a dog, I'm going to call you Pedro. So it's all good. With that, day to day managing a family office is like every day different, where it's like you're looking for, the best deals for the fund, or does it stay kind of mellow and boring? Like, how does your day to day and what you want to accomplish, does it change?
So what I do in the scope of that business or running the family office, I am mostly looking at building relationship with other families and finding out what they're investing in and seeing what type of trends they're seeing based on the deals that they've been doing. And so I go to a lot of conferences. So probably 8 days out of the month, I'm at a conference or something, some kind of event. Like this week, I am at the College World Series with a group of family offices. So, just spending time getting to know people and hearing what they're investing in, and like what they're excited about and that sort of stuff. And so that's what I'm doing for the most part. The rest of it is making sure that we're hiring best talent and that all of the logistics of the business is functioning well. But that's for all of the other businesses as well. I try my best not to like work in the businesses, but I'm more or less the overarching ops person.
Okay. So with that, how many people for your family office, do you guys have? And we all want to go with you. can we just follow you? Like, well, let's make this thing a colorful thing, because there's a lot of people who they're like, what conference? Like, they'll be like, oh no, everybody knows this conference. And they're like, I have no idea. So
Yeah.
can we go with you? And I'm just going off. Yeah, let me know.
So there are some conferences that you can go with me. I take young law students and MBAs with me to some conferences that are more like industry, finance, and estates kind of legal conferences. The others are the good kind. The good kind of conference doesn't sell tickets. It's basically invite only, and it'll never be more than 50 people. That's my version of a conference that I like the most, where you just have to show up. And you build relationship. There's some education to it, which is great because there's some next gen education, which I think is huge. Um, but those conferences, I generally take other athletes and entertainers to, so that they can build relationships in places where people don't find them to be famous or want to just be a fan. They want to build relationships and do deals with them.
Okay, and that's the ones I want. I like when the veil is closed and nobody knows what's going on, and I promise you, nobody is begging you to come. So I love that invite only. We're gonna talk, and what you guys, this is what I'll tell you. If I'm allowed, and we can go, and I'll even be her cameraman and shoot. But if I can show you this, because I want more and more people. I've always been the type to find something, and I want to invite all of us to the table who are qualified and can do something. And I've never had a bad situation in bringing people. And I think that's what we should be. Paintball shooting and just having fun, or, Tom Cruise is going to come with the mask, or Diddy's going to come out. Can you, yeah, because that's what people think. They think, oh, you have to be doing something evil or wicked the higher you go. And there is some wickedness in some high places, but there are also wickedness in low places. What type of information, if somebody goes for the first time to any of these conferences, what type of questions should they be asking? And do they have to be liquid, or can they, borrow from their money tree or bank if they go to these events and learn about deals?
Yeah, so access to capital to do deals probably is just a good rule of thumb, so that if you hear about something that you're interested in and have capacity to invest, most of the minimums will be somewhere in the 100,000, 250,000 range. But except for oil and gas, which, like, I'm very passionate about making sure that people who have regular amounts of money get access to oil and gas. So I go to those sort of conferences to meet the bigger players, and then I create syndication so that people can participate at a lower amount, because generally their minimum is $10 million. Like, they're like, we're not interested. So, but the thing that I would say, the kinds of questions you should ask when you're meeting new people is, what got you started in this space? Like, come on, give me a journey and let them talk to you, because number one, you'll be building rapport with them. But also you'll get to hear how non-linear their growth to success has been. And, like, most people are going to tell you these, like, horrific stories that, like, oh my gosh, that happened to you, and then you lost all the money, and then the lady left you, and oh my God, like, so, you know, the best part about it is learning that everybody's journey has been very tough, regardless of what it looks like. And, most people who become ultra wealthy is just because they just keep trying over and 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 over, and have, and they do, you have to keep doing it with the same level of enthusiasm and vision and energy as the first time in order to, like, make it work.
Man, that's gems. Because people think, it's just like playing sports or anything. You might not be good, like you had spoke about earlier, about picking the right team or country and why. Your why is very important. So I love that, she dropped that gem. So I don't care if you're on the truck right now. I used to be on the truck in the oil field, and you think, oh, this is my final stop. Nah, it might just be your setup to buy your own truck and then keep moving and moving and moving where you want to go. But is there a website we can direct people where they can find all the conferences you can get a ticket, or how do you get those invites? Because, it's kind of like NACA. If you want to be a public speaker, go to NACA, or Toastmasters or the NSA. But where can they, get their foot in the door?
Yeah, so I think Adisa is a good conference to like I discovered um all of the different types of jobs that people have in finance going to that conference. So but altswire.com also is sort of the alternative investments news channel, but they have like a list of events at the bottom of the page. So, and that's updated daily. And where else? Let me think.
Spell those two out. Spell
Okay.
just those two, because people say they'll say Adidas. They'll say Adidas. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let her spell it out and shut up. I'm a Kaite La Boca, people.
Okay, Adisa is ADISA, and Altswire is ALTSWIRE.
All right. You guys got the game. Rewind that back if you have any questions when you stop moving and grooving. Because that's the hardest part. People say I never knew. And I'm going to
And
ask you a question.
I'm gonna tell you, like, this is no longer the day and age where like never knew or don't know can even be close to being excused. You better ask Chat GPT, you better ask Google, you better ask Claude. It's a whole bunch of people you can ask and just say, I want to go to an industry event that's based on this, because there's so many. I was at a meeting in Scottsdale a couple of months ago. And when I got in there, everybody had tags. So I said, what event y'all at? And they're like, um, we're in a dairy farmer transportation conference. It's 1,000 of them. So now I'm super intrigued. Like, okay, so tell me what the business is. They're like, yeah, we transport from farms to processing centers. Like, y'all have a whole industry event for that? Yes. And the average ticket, it was, let's say, $500, but the average person in the room business was making $10 million a year. I said, oh, so every conference. Like, literally, if you're interested in something, just Google and go to something go to something that you wouldn't have considered going to. FarmCon has a lot of extra high net worth people. So if you're trying to be like a financial advisor or a money manager or a registered investment advisor, the places to go are almost never the place that you think. So these industry events, those are places to go if you're looking for a job. They're not where you go if you're looking for clients. It's just like you're a real estate person. Stop going to real estate events. That's not where you get clients. That's not where you get business. That's where, like, y'all go and pontificate on the same things over and over and over again that you already agree on. Go to events where people don't do real estate, and then you'll get all of the business. So go to the dental conference, bro.
No, I dig that. I dig that. But people also, will say, well, because I read the book Extreme Ownership, right? And I love that book by Jocko. But it's just like Chat GPT. It gives you a lot of information, but a lot of people don't know how to prompt properly. So that's why people like yourself will be needed, because people will say, wait, I've never even heard of this. I didn't even know young Black folk could get into this. Is she, is her daddy Barry Gordy? Like, how do you have to be something that they feel like they couldn't touch, right? For you to know this information. So that's why we do stuff like this. And this is why I want YouTube channels and people like yourself to have more and more YouTube channels, but also because, there's certain
Make a YouTube.
You already know I'm gonna bother you about that. You just down the street around the corner. You come have once you come to the house and have some Uncle Nearest, it's like you in, you know. Yeah. You in, and you can have something else. You don't have to have Uncle Nearest, but that's one
The
of
Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. So you have to already know that that's already on my list.
okay. So I told you we're gonna be friends, but I wanna ask for clarification, not because I have any grand information, but I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey. Reason why I can be debt free in my life, because 10, 20 years ago, whatever. And you had said something where you're like, term 97% they never pay out, and that's probably because people outlive it and don't have to use it. But, and I know you know who Dave is. If you say don't get term, and it ain't, they say financial advice, but what are some other alternatives that you would recommend that are the safety net? And I'm talking about just for life insurance, not necessarily the investment after, because people say, well, the whole, you can do this, or you could also, no, I'm just talking about life insurance is life insurance. So we don't have to have a fresh fry when you die. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So what are the,
So, for the most part, you want to go to a user broker, number one. But you want to get a policy, even if it is term, that can be converted to permanent without medical things. Because by the time your term policy ends, you're probably not in the same medical shape that you were when you got the policy. So you need to know that you can convert that into a whole life policy before the end of the term. So you still get the savings benefit of the low cost of term insurance versus whole life, but you have the option to convert it. I am not actually anti-term. It has a purpose. I supercharge a lot of things with term policies, including when you're buying businesses and things, with other people, you should probably have um some type of insurance on those people who are your partners.
okay. So not, and again, in these Instagram, TikTokable clips, you just, sometimes get that. And so I always want to ask, because maybe there are some new things out there, but,
Most things are not suitable for so if we're talking the general public, most things are not suitable for the general public. But an insurance person will sell it to you. So things that have a lot of fees and that can be latent with commissionable additions to it, generally not suitable for the general public. But there's like universal index life policies, which all that really means is the amount of the cash value is invested in index funds, and you get to pick, for the most part, which index it follows, and then it won't go below zero, which means that you can't lose principal. But you usually will have a cap. So if whatever your index is goes up 25%, your cap might be 10, so you'll make 10 on the cash value. But the reason why I say that's not suitable for most people is the way that they're selling it, for the most part, is based on a concept called paid up additions. And so paid up additions means you're paying much more than the premium so that you can have accumulated cash value so that it can grow faster and you can borrow against and all that. But if you don't have money to put into the policy, um, and all things in the universe are not aligned, because yes, some years we are great, like last year, amazing, for indexes. Some years we are flat, and it's not an investment vehicle. It's literally there as what I would call like more like a savings account that allows some tax benefit. But whole life, almost everything else you should just ignore. They're going to create fancy things all the time. The finance industry is a product business. So they build products to sell to consumers that they generally would never buy for themselves.
Does it ever make you cringe when you hear, especially online, especially in our community, which can be all communities, but I'm talking Black folk right now and Latino folks and people who aren't necessarily the most, they didn't grow up with knowing about, like, wait, you can even fully fund your 401k. Some people didn't even know that, they tell me. Some people don't know what a defined benefit plan is. And not that everybody can put the amounts of money in a defined benefit plan, but when you cringe, especially doctors make me cringe. Can I say, did you have to pick the worst fund, the worst way? Because every doctor wants to be a business owner and or a pilot. Like, does it ever make you cringe? Because these are people making, $500,000 or at least $250,000 or more, and they should get enough information. You know how to save a life, but you pick the worst fund, the worst insurance, and you end up sometimes like the ball players or the entertainers. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on it is generally, if you are not learning and becoming an advocate for yourself, you are then becoming prey to the hope that the person who's giving you information actually knows what they're talking about, and they also mean you well. So for some people it works out, for most people it does not. So I would say that, like, although you are busy and all of the things, it's important to just take time to learn how things work. And that's, I really don't like the term financial literacy, but financial understanding and fitness and having a little bit of inquisitiveness about where your money is going, especially like even in a 401k, for example. I had a conversation with people who work in finance back end, and when I said, you pay taxes when you get distributions from your 401k, they were like, what? I thought I didn't have to pay taxes on that money. I'm like, it's a tax deferred plan. You didn't pay taxes on it when it went in. It's not whenever you take the money, you have to pay taxes on it. So those are the small things where, like, you need to know how the products that you are already investing in work. And you also need to know what it's investing in, because I know a lot of people who get real loud on the internet and say, I would never invest in private prisons. Your 401k says otherwise. So
I would own one. Y'all give me an option. I'd own one so we can revamp it and actually do some reforming. Because if you've ever gone to a private prison, we used to give tours in them to kids who had drug issues. You would say, I would want to get in on here because it can be a mess, but it could be a nice business. I would own one personally. With that, and private prisons would be like a community give back for me. It wouldn't just be about making the money. What is your community give back that you're doing or that you would like to do in the future?
yeah, so I do two things. So, okay, excuse me. So I am super passionate about people understanding about business in general. And so I teach a class through my foundation for free monthly on how to be auditable, defensible, and compliant in business as you are growing as a business professional. And so I'm super passionate about that. I really think that as a community of young people, we kind of understand how to make money, but like all of the other components that have, I'm like, you don't have, oh my God, you don't have a business license. You don't have the required state things. You are literally living on thin ice, buddy. So I'm passionate about making sure that we can survive as business owners, young people. And then I'm super passionate about affordable housing. So we build affordable housing, and our nonprofit has a boots on the ground person in all of the buildings, and their job is to make sure that the residents know of all of the other services that they qualify for. Because if you qualify for affordable housing, generally you also qualify for free childcare or resume writing or skill building courses and all of these things that the community and other nonprofits already have. But I get it. When you are busy and in the thick of it and working and, got kids calling your name, you don't have time to do that research. So our nonprofit comes, and it took a long time for people to really answer the door because, don't nobody want no strangers knocking on their door. But they come and they will help you fill out the forms to get the free childcare and the things and prepare them for life after affordable housing, which like most people are like, who does that? You want to get rid of your residents? And I'm like, there is no shortage in demand for people for Section 8 housing. So if they are able to move out, go and purchase their own homes, go move to market ready rent, like I am excited for that. Like I want to see people's outlook on life change.
Give the name of the nonprofit and the website, please.
You want some? We have a website, but I wouldn't put too much stress about it. But it's B3X Wiser Foundation.
Okay, and you guys, before you go there, I'm gonna give her an AI website where it might be revamped in 60 seconds because that's
Yes.
what the
Oh,
AI can
no
make.
more. So I'm on the board of Student ACEs, and we help student athletes with leadership and preparing for college and all of those things. And so if you care about kids and you can come and support one of their events, I'm just one of the board members, but they do amazing work all through South Florida. We actually have a Student ACEs Center in Belle Glade. So studentaces.com. They got a real website.
Yeah, you're gonna have one too. And it's gonna cost you less than $150 a month if you decide. And that's where I think a lot of times people say, who are outside of finance or, the look. They say, well, if you got so much money, why don't you spend it on this? And it's like, well, first of all, I don't have to. And, because we're not for everybody. And this is the reason also why we created Millionaire X. It's AI, but it's, the John Hope Bryants, the Dave Ramseys. It's thinking like Warren Buffett, and it's giving you that game with a twist. I might have thrown the Carlson White lingo in there too. I don't know. It just depends how you talk to my AI and at what tier you buy, right? And what tier you try. But that's the whole thing, is to give the game. And I can't have you give all the game because I could go all night with you because just how you flow. But I do want to talk to you about your own YouTube. I do want to have follow up so we can get into the crypto side. So my crypto bros and gals who think they're beating and cheating the system by not claiming it on their taxes should have gave it up in 2014, 15 and sent it overseas. But I want to, your nanos, wallets and treasures and all that could have been, floating somewhere else, but it's too late. But yeah, I want to get into all that, but I know people's attention spans, and I know that their ADHD is kicking, scratching. So great storytellers always have people wanting more. I want you to let them know where they can find you. When is the book coming out? And when I do tell you this information for YouTube, when can they expect to get to your channel? And, you'll be faithful to your channel. They know every week at least. So give them the game on what they can expect from you online and offline.
All right. So on Instagram, I'm Lala Hurdles too. Funny story. I've had that name since AOL. Dial up. On Twitter, I'm Idlette, which is my last name. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So full name. If you actually need to contact me for something, contact me on LinkedIn. I check that way more. My book is called The Hidden Wealth Code, and it will be out at the end of the month. So if you'd like to pre-order it, you just go to thehiddenwealthcodebook.com. And let me see, YouTube. If we can pre-batch film things, I got you. We can launch that in July.
You guys have got the game. I thank you for coming to the end. And I want you to make sure, you comment to your friends online and offline. I want you to like it. I want you to go over to YouTube so you can see who I'm talking to. Because again, You guys are listening while moving and grooving. I get it. But most importantly, I want you to share this game with somebody. Remember, it's a family business. It's different. Go check out everything. Links are in the description. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.